What's up everybody, George Chief from the wagon here. So I noticed that my sump video is probably one of my most popular videos. It has a lot of views, and this is the bus that I put it on. I just wanted to be upfront and honest. We're actually removing this sump because this is a bay window, and the problem that we're running into is his motor actually sits lower than my motor. This is the exact same combination I have on my motor. My bus is physically lower than his bus, but in a bay window, his engine actually hangs down lower than mine. We're going to actually switch it out with a CB low profile sump to give him a little bit of a breathing room. The main problem we're running into is the nut right there actually hits the ground. You can see it's been scraped a few times. This isn't leaking a drop. We're not leaking a drop up here, but this right here leaks. He turns it when he hits it. So we're going to get that changed out to a CB low profile sump. We've removed the old Berg sump. We're going to scrape away this gasket here, and I'm going to replace this gasket with a Ross Wolf Viton gasket. Look how nice and clean this is. This was not leaking, that just dripped onto it. But this was beautifully dry, as was the sump plate. Once again, that's leaked on it since it's been off, but you can see that ring around it where it's dry. It's good stuff right there. So I've gone in there and I've put the Viton gasket in between, and I've bolted up this sump in there. You saw I put the rag in the hole to block off any of the flow that I see now that the rag is out. It's coming out just to make sure my gasket stays dry as always. We're going to set up the Mag X plate that's going to be going in this outer. I just got to do a couple of measurements on these studs, make sure the length is correct, and if not, I will have to adjust them. I've shortened this down a little bit more. We're going to dry fit. Sometimes I'll dry fit things multiple times before I mount them in there. Alright, so we're going across that. And we clear this now, but that's not good enough. This is the JC Mag X sump cover plate for the CB Performance ones. It's O-ring sealed, but you can see that center is raised up, and especially where the drain plug is raised up, and it looks to me about 1/4 of an inch, and when I put my straight edge across this, I'm right on that, so I know that I need to cut about 1/4 inch more off of that guy right there. Here's a closer look at this guy. All right, so we got O-rings and one big O-ring on the exterior, and then looking from a profile there, I don't know if you can see it, this raised area. We have to make sure that our pickup tube is minimum of 1/8 inch above that. So we're going to do that adjustment right now. So check that out. We got that straight edge going across it, so we can see where that drain plate is, or the drain plug is, in relation to the plate. I know I need that spacing on this pickup tube here, so we're going to pull that back down and cut a little bit more off of it. Here's a look inside. What I did on these is I put a wave washer on each one, and we have just a standard bolt. I did not use nylocks or anything like that, because nylocks will have a tendency to grab them studs and pull them in. We've seen from some of my other videos when you're dealing with that issue. So I measured this. The difference in height is 2.9 millimeters. So I'm going to mark 3 millimeters on this and get it cut. Got to catch yourself on this stuff. As I was putting it on there, I said, I never tightened the clamp on my pickup tube. mental check notes, written down check lists, anything like that, to make sure that you can get the job done right. I'm keeping that in there to show you guys that everybody makes mistakes. And make sure that dude can't get pulled off. Now, we'll actually put that sump plate on with all the washers and get it sealed up. All right, so I'm lining it up. I've already checked depth on my hardware. And that's going to hold it up in place from right there. Now I'm going to go get 8 of the sealing washers that come into a gasket kit. And we're going to have separate sealing washers for each one of those. Your stud still goes in there. There is an O-ring around this hole, but your stud still goes in the sump. And that's where oil will travel down that. So you have to put actual sealing washers on the hardware you're putting on there. So I pulled the drain plug out just to verify that it does have that crush washer on the inside, and it does. So we're going to put this guy back in there. I'm going to look up on JC or MP site and see if they specify torque specification for that. The Ross Wolf sump I replaced had a 25 foot-pound torque spec on their nut. So we will see if there's one on this nut. As far as these go here, I just snug them up. You don't want to go crazy on these because you will strip stuff out. Snug them up. If you want to take a torque wrench to them, they're 5 foot-pounds, 7 Newton meters, something like that. This center I can't find a torque spec on. I'm just going to tighten it down. So the main reason we did this, there was nothing wrong with the sump. It worked. It held oil. It did not leak. It functioned. It was ground clearance. I just measured clearance and it's 3 inches of clearance now. Let me go measure my bus. So I have 3 inches of ground clearance with the deeper sump, with the externally dropped sump plate, and that drain plug right there, the deeper one. I have the same clearance he has with that CB Performance thin sump. So the bay motor definitely does sit lower than a standard split bus. So lesson learned on that one. So this CB thin line wide glide sump gives you about 1 inch more ground clearance. Plus, if you take in consideration the sump bolt that was on there, so you're probably adding another 1/2 inch with that dude right there. So this was specifically a ground clearance issue. That's why we removed that other sump. The other sump is a Gene-Berg sump. I'm trading the customer straight across for this sump. I did have him buy the MagX plate because I find these easier to work with. You have a drain plug, which I like. If you don't, you have a river of oil coming down on you. Yeah, it's a good product. Both products are products that I use on a regular. I sell the CV sumps to people, and I push the Berg sumps on to people. I personally have a Berg sump on my motor and prefer the Berg sumps, but if you don't have the ground clearance, this is the way to go. So that's it. This is making right of a wrong, and the wrong was not, I did not steer somebody the wrong direction with wrong product. It was wrong application for their needs, and that was my inexperience. I haven't done too many of the lowered bay windows, and my bus sits considerably lower than this, and I thought for sure he wasn't going to have a ground clearance issue. But we live and we learn and we make it right. So I got a couple more things to do on this car. I appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope it was entertaining and informative for you. It's a very simple task installing these sumps. If you want the detailed version of it, watch the sump video that this is initially done on. I'll give you all the specifications, stud length, all that good stuff that I'm working with there. But this was a quick in and out. I have already set this sump up. We didn't need to go into all that detail with it. But I did want to show that I make mistakes and I correct my mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, but keep working, keep doing. Go out there and work on your project, have fun. The only way you're going to learn is by doing, so there's nothing to it but to do it, guys. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.